Hello everyone, this is Science Vines and you're watching the audiovisual chapter of class 11th biology. This is the second part of the chapter 20, locomotion and movement. We are starting off with the skeletal system. Skeletal system consists of a framework of bones and a few cartilages. This system has a significant role in movement shown by the body. Imagine chewing food without jaw bones and walking around without the limb bones. Bone and cartilage are specialized connective tissues. The former has a very hard matrix due to calcium salts in it, and the latter has slightly pliable matrix due to chondroitin salts. In human beings, this system is made up of 206 bones and few cartilage. It is grouped in two principal divisions, the axial and the appendicular skeletal. Axial skeletal comprises 80 bones distributed along the main axis of the body. The skull, vertebral column, sternum, and ribs constitute the axial skeleton. The skull is composed of two sets of bones, cranial and facial, that totals to 22 bones. Cranial bones are 8 in number. They form the hard protective outer covering, cranium for the brain. The facial region is made up of 14 skeletal elements which form the front part of the skull. A single U-shaped bone called hyoid is present at the base of the buccal cavity, and it is also included in the skull. Each middle ear contains three tiny bones, malleus, incus and stapes, collectively called ear ossicles. The skull region articulates with the superior region of the vertebral column with the help of two occipital condyles. Our vertebral column is formed by 26 serially arranged units called the vertebrae and is dorsally placed. It extends from the base of the skull and constitutes the main framework of the trunk. Each vertebrae has a central hollow portion or neural canal through which the spinal cord passes. First vertebrae is the atlas and it articulates with the occipital condyles. The vertebral column is differentiated into cervical 7, thoracic 12, lumbar 5, sacral 1 fused and coccygeal 1 fused regions starting from the skull. The number of cervical vertebrae are 7 in almost all mammals, including human beings. The vertebral column protects the spinal cord, supports the head and serves as the point of attachment for the ribs and musculature of the back. Sternum is a flat bone on the ventral midline of thorax. There are 12 pair of ribs. Each rib is a thin flat bone connected dorsally to the vertebral column and ventrally to the sternum. It has two articulation surfaces on its dorsal end and is called the bicephalic. First 7 pair of ribs are called true ribs. Dorsally they are attached to the thoracic vertebrae and ventrally connected to the sternum with the help of hyaline cartilage. The 8th, 9th and 10th pair of ribs do not articulate directly with the sternum but joins the 7th rib with the help of hyaline cartilage. These are called vertebral or false ribs, vertebrochondral or false ribs. Last two pairs, 11th and 12th, of ribs are not connected ventrally and are therefore called floating ribs. Thoracic vertebrae, ribs and sternum together form the rib cage. The bones of the limbs along with their girdles constitute the appendicular skeleton. Each limb is made of 30 bones. The bones of the hand, forelimbs are humerus, radius and ulna, carpals, wrist bones which are 8 in number, metacarpals, palm bones which are 5 in number, and phalanges, digits in 14 in number. Femur, thigh bone, the longest bone, tibia and fibula, tarsals or ankle bones 7 in number, metatarsals 5 in number, and phalanges or digits 14 in number are the bones of legs and hind limb. A cup-shaped bone called patella cover the knee ventrally or kneecap. Now pectoral and pelvic girdle bones help in the articulation of upper and lower limbs respectively with the axial skeleton. Each girdle is formed of two halves. Each half of pectoral girdle consists of a clavicle and a scapula. Scapula is a large triangular flat bone situated in the dorsal part of the thorax between the second and the seventh ribs. The dorsal flat triangular body of scapula has a slightly elevated ridge called the spine, which projects as a flat expanded process called the acromion. The clavicle articulates with this. Below the acromion is a depression called the glenoid cavity, which articulates with the head of the humerus to form the shoulder joint. Each clavicle is a long slender bone with two curvatures. This bone is commonly called the collarbone. Pelvic girdle consists of two coxal bones. Each coxal bone is formed by the fusion of three bones: ilium, ischium, and pubis. At the point of fusion of the above bones is a cavity called acetabulum, to which the thigh bone articulates. The two halves of the pelvic girdle meets ventrally to form the pubic symphysis containing fibrous cartilage. Now joints. Joints are essential for all type of movements involving the bony parts of the body. Locomotory movements are no exception to this. Joints are points of contact between bones or between bones and cartilages. Force generated by the muscles is used to carry out movement through joints, where the joint act as a fulcrum. The mobility at these joints vary depending on different factors. Joints have been classified into three major structural forms, namely fibrous, cartilaginous, and synovial. Fibrous joints do not allow any movement. This type of joint is shown by the flat skull bones, which fuse end to end with the help of dense fibrous connective tissue in the form of sutures to form the cranium. In cartilaginous joint, the bone involved are joined together with the help of cartilages. The joint between the adjacent vertebrae in the vertebral column is of this pattern, and it permits limited movements. Synovial joints are characterized by the presence of a fluid-filled synovial cavity between the articulating surfaces of the two bones. Such arrangement allows considerable movement. These joints help in locomotion and many other movements. Ball and socket joint between humerus and pectoral girdle, hinge joint, knee joint, pivot joint between atlas and axis, gliding joint between the carpals, and saddle joint between the carpal and metacarpal of thumb are some examples. Disorders of muscular and skeletal system. Myasthenia gravis, autoimmune disorder affecting neuromuscular junction leading to fatigue, weakening, and paralysis of skeletal muscle. Muscular dystrophy, progressive degeneration of skeletal muscle mostly due to genetic disorder. Tetany, rapid spasms or wild contractions in the muscle due to low calcium in the body fluid. Arthritis, inflammation of joints. Osteoporosis, age-related disorder characterized by decreased bone mass and increased chance of fractures. Decreased levels of estrogen is a common cause. Gout, inflammation of joints due to accumulation of uric acid crystals. Now here we end the second part of chapter 20, locomotion and movement. To watch more such videos, do subscribe the channel and press the bell icon so you don't miss any video. And if you want us to create more such content on any other book or subject, do mention in the comment section please. Like and share the video to keep us motivated to create such content. Thank you for watching the video. Bye bye. Love.